Hi, my name's Paul Jeffries and I write the Twitter blog Bin Wars. Last summer I made a short video about the problems caused at the end of the student term when people move out of the houses, leaving piles of rubbish on the streets, turning the whole neighbourhood into a mess. In this short clip, I want to have a look at some of the wider problems and some of the other causes of waste in the city, which I would love to see the council being a lot more vigorous at tackling and being a lot more effective at sorting out. For me, there are far too many long-term grot spots in town, and although most people do know how to throw the rubbish away in the right way, there are still too many people who are getting away with not doing so. And that means individuals, as well as a lot of people who are making money from cutting corners by being rather stingy with the way they get rid of their waste.
So why are some people still being allowed to leave the streets of Manchester in such a dirty state? The council's certainly spending plenty of council tax on cleaning up. Constantly cleaning up litter and fly tipping gives a consequence-free service to litter-louts. So they need to be a lot better at enforcement, 24 hours a day, and not just in the city centre. The city's full of cleaners and traffic wardens, but very few people are engaged in litter enforcement. And it's the same with the street drinking that leads to patches of broken glass on the pavements and cycle lanes every day. The council also gets the message wrong because of the way its bins look. It certainly doesn't instill a sense of pride in its neighbourhoods. Litter bins and domestic bins are left dirty and vandalised, as well as overflowing because so many people are allowed to be crammed into buildings that weren't designed for so many. Many people see an overflowing litter bin and add to the pile, thinking it won't make much difference, or in the case of domestic bins, because there's nowhere else for the waste. That's why we're seeing carrier bags dumped next to litter bins, which are then ripped apart by birds and vermin. This isn't about forcing people to recycle, because even the recycling bins often overflow. The latest DEFRA figures quoted in the Manchester Evening News suggest that there's only about a 1 in 4 chance of the council taking any action at all when fly tipping occurs. When it comes to littering, you can tell by the sheer amount of it that the chance is even smaller. They inflate the figures by targeting a few cigarette butts dropped in the city during office hours, but the real problems are at night and outside the city centre, particularly in deprived areas where people now think it's normal to live in a trash dump. The council rarely bothers to shame the businesses and individuals by naming the people who do get fined. There's now more rubbish across the city than the council can cope with. Rubbish blown from fly tips and overflowing bins and pavements that haven't been swept by the council properly gets trapped in the undergrowth, where it remains a problem for wildlife, as well as making the area look even more neglected for years. There seems to be a culture of complacency throughout the council, with jobs not being done properly. Here's a broken traffic light just dumped at the side of the road after a repair. The council lets businesses get away with stingy waste contracts that leave overflowing bins festering for ages. It even puts up with piles of rubbish being left behind by the company it pays to keep the streets clean. If the council can't get the bins right, how many other public services are being messed up behind the scenes? It's astonishing that the same people are voted in year after year and allowed to run Manchester as they please. There are some good councillors, of course, but the senior leaders and the complacent long-timers have a lot to answer for.